Hello viewers and welcome to Battle Academy 2. I'm your host PBEM, and well, continuing off in our quest for wargaming, we're moving off of the real-time western front of close combat, Gateway to Khan, and well, we're changing up the pace and we're going to the eastern front in the turn-based game that is Battle Academy 2 here. And well, this is another introductory level war game, so it fits that beginner/intermediate zone. And when I say beginner level, I don't mean that it's easy. All war games are inherently pretty complex and pretty intriguing strategy games that you really have to sit down, think about, and work your way through like such. So overall, this is a very promising title. It's currently in Slitherine's early access program, so it's currently still in development, and it's slated for a release in early September, so somewhere around the 10th, if not the 12th of September there. You can find more information in the link below inside the description, but moving forwards, today we're playing the press preview version of the game, and we'll be starting our campaign shortly. So just to sum up what it is present inside the full release of the game, the full release of the game will come with 4 campaigns, 2 Axis campaigns, or 2 German campaigns and 2 Soviet ones. Inside the press preview of the game, we have the Operation Bagration campaign. This is the one that we'll be playing through. According to the press notes, this is supposedly one of the more difficult campaigns present inside the full release of the game. It's said to be an advanced one where chances are is that players will play like up to half or somewhere right around 16 missions before this campaign is either unlocked or recommended. So there is just do take note of that. Operation Bagration here was the historic counteroffensive made by the Soviet Army in 1944, and it was a bit of a two front maneuver, if you will, if you consider, say, the Allies invading Normandy, one maneuver, and the Soviets invading on the opposite front, another thing, and it really did pin down the Germans and really divided their attention on the 2 fronts there. So this is the campaign that we'll be running through the inside this preview. I don't know if we'll be finishing the entirety of it, as it is quite long. It's 8 scenarios, and another feature that Battle Academy 2 comes with for the veterans of the series is that it features a skirmish mode where you can generate your own battles of varying different sizes of both the urban and the wilderness variety of Russia in its I guess summer/spring variant, or alternatively in the snow, and you can do attack, defend, and meeting engagements and all kinds of different things there. So it's quite a neat game. One of the things that the early access, where I'd imagine the press preview version here doesn't have, is the multiplayer portion of the game unlocked, but there will be multiplayer as well as a map editor or scenario editor present inside the full game as well. So there's that. Anyhow, without further ado, let's begin our campaign and let us check out the first mission inside Operation Bagration over here. So, behind enemy lines, partisan bands gather in the woods and swamps from where they mount murderous hit-and-run attacks against the hated invaders. Ordered to support the offensive by disrupting enemy lines, they ambush German convoy as it winds its way along the forest road. Right, so this will be the first mission. I guess they've included one of the more advanced campaigns inside the press preview version, because these they have a lot of these very varied and intriguing scenarios that differ from what you might expect from, say, a traditional war game here, and these are pretty neat. So let's see. Our forces have trapped a German convoy in the readiness for the Soviet offensive. We've been reinforced with a few Soviet regular troops, and we have the task of destroying 18 trucks before the Germans arrive with, I guess, armored reinforcements here. So let's hop into the deployment screen, buy a few of our troops, and get on fighting. So how the scenarios here work is that you have some resources to buy out troops, and you have some already deployed on the map for you, and afterwards you effectively pick out the ones that you want, the ones that you can't afford or don't want, and you just really go off of there. So our troops, from the looks of it, are are deployed inside 2 bundles here. We have a small group to the back portion of the map and a forward portion over here. And how this works is that the troops, the squads and units highlighted in blue here are the ones that are bought for you. They're sort of mandatory troops. You can't deselect them. The troops in red here we can select and we can buy using that 260 points that we have there. We can buy the troops either by clicking on the individual tiles on the maps here. This is where they'll show up once we start the game. Or alternatively, we can buy them from this list over here. I'll talk a bit about what troops we have later on once we get into the fighting. But for now, seeing as how we're going to be coming up against a German convoy, I'd imagine that there are a few escort vehicles, some armored vehicles going off of that achievement / secondary objective. So let's buy a few Molotov cocktail throwers to deal with the armored vehicles. About a squad of Soviet riflemen up here, seeing as how that'll be a valuable contribution in addition to the partisan troops. And likewise inside the back group over here, I'll do the same thing. I'll buy some saboteurs, some Molotov cocktail throwers, a Soviet light machine gun team, and an anti-tank rifle team, and we'll go with that. And how these battles are presented is that once you pick out your deployment of troops, I mean, the game gives us 3 different secondary objectives here, or challenge objectives to do. And in addition to that, how the difficulty system works inside the game is that, like I said, I mean, it's a beginner level, or it's a beginner / intermediate level war game. So the difficulty setting is set by picking out how the game does the internal calculations, if you will, here. So if you put the game on an easier mode, such as like the one chevron icon here, your troops who have just a greater statistical advantage, and you don't necessarily have to play with the full set of rules. So for example, fast movement penalties are removed for the player here. As opposed to that, you can opt to play with the full tactical rules and have no statistical advantages. And again, I mean, despite the fact I don't want to confuse people in the sense that while it is, say, a beginner level war game, it is by no means, say, a casual or a super simple and super easy game in that sense. I've played through this scenario 3 times before, and on the first 2 tries I played it with the full tactical rules, and I could not win it. I had to lower it down to the medium setting here for it to work out. So we'll run this as such, and we'll just get things rolling, I guess. Right, so like I said, we have to destroy a few supply tracks. We have those achievement objectives, and those are all listed here. And from the looks of it, we had to do this within 21 turns. Right, so let's start ambushing and start destroying this convoy. We have a few lovely bands of these Soviet partisans up here, and this is one of the standard line infantry troops that you have. These guys are of course slightly weaker than Soviet Army infantry or German Army infantry, but nonetheless, for this scenario, they'll do. And from over here, these 2 partisan groups have set up a bit of a blockade on the road here and stopped the German vanguard troops. So let's get these guys to ambush the German defenders. Let's get them to pop a few shots off, and let's see how well they can, or how well they do in whittling down these German infantry men here. How the game works here is that on the bottom panel here, you'll see some stats about your troops. So the Soviet partisan squads are made out of 5 people. That is effectively the amount of hit points they have. These guys have 2 shots, which are 2 firing commands, or 2 attacks per turn, as indicated up here by the 2 bullets there. And in addition, they have a morale value and an action point value. The morale is representative of select calculations going into whether or not your troops will retreat like that or get suppressed like that as well. And the action points are of course used for moving. So speaking about moving, what we want to do here, now that we've routed the first bit of those Germans, that we want to use one of these hunt commands, cautiously move our troops up, and hopefully our troops will get into cover nice and safely. Hopefully they'll see some more bits of the German army, and indeed that has happened. So from the looks of it, the very front portion of this convoy is made up of some infantry troops, a half-track, which will be quite a challenge for these partisans to deal with, seeing as how they only have a few bolt-action rifles and a few submachine guns and all that. So, with that said, what we want to do is that, of course, we want to get into the back here and take out this supply truck. I have a few Molotov cocktail people over here, and these guys are good because they feature a decent amount of anti-tank slash anti-vehicle capability. Though one of the things that the game here stresses is not moving into, say, areas where we don't have full line of sight or areas where there might be suspected enemies. And as you can see here, there's a whole bunch of these question marks in this bit of forest, and this means that this is apparently a suspected site that our troops are saying that there might be a few German troops. So I'm going to move up our Soviet scouts, and these guys are just going to clear this area to some extent. And well, judging by the fact that there's nothing just in the immediate vicinity, I'm going to say that this area is clear. So what we're going to do here is that we'll move up one partisan Molotov cocktail squad. We'll get right up next to this half track, seeing as how these guys don't throw very far, and we'll see what we can do about throwing a few Molotov cocktails onto that vehicle, and we'll see whether or not we can take it out, and indeed we can. So those guys are doing quite well over there. I'll get the rest of the Molotov cocktail throwers to move up as well, and I'll get the Soviet rifle squad to move into this forest here to support our guys. And going forwards from there, we'll get some of our other troops moved as well. Here we have a Soviet partisan sniper. This guy is, yeah, our troops here also have a few traits. This partisan sniper, he's a scout and he's also an ambusher unit. So he's quite good at moving forwards, grabbing intel for our guys, and also at picking off individual soldiers as well, naturally being a sniper and all. He's also quite a stealthy guy, evidently, as well. So provided that we say put him in a forest or something, he has a very low chance of being spotted there. So we'll get him to move forwards like that. We have some more partisans in here. We actually have a lot of these guys. We have 4 of them. So I'll get these people to shimmy through the underbush here as best as they can. And well, would you look at that? There is another German half track here. And we'll get our guys to continue moving through the woods here. We'll set up for next turn, for turn number 2, as they go along here. And I think that concludes the movements for the first group of troops we have up there. And in that case, we'll move the second group here. So, on one front, we are ambushing a convoy inside this this town here. On the other, there are going to be more convoys coming from the road here in the coming turns. So with that said, I'm going to get some of my troops in this area to set up for another ambush. And with that said, I'll get some of these saboteurs, some of these Molotov cocktail throwers to set up inside the little forest bits too, inside this area. And we'll just get those movements going here. And we'll just get them to shimmy about here. I want to put them inside this this forested area and the stuff over here where they'll have where they can ambush those convoy trucks going down that road at point blank range. And in the meantime, I'll use a small band of these partisans to push through this forest into the town, and we'll see whether or not we can perhaps catch the Germans on their rear flank here, utilizing these 2 squads. So that finishes up the first turn. We'll switch it over to the German front. They'll enact a few movements, and well, they're probably out over here. Sometimes, unfortunately, it being early access and all, sometimes the camera angle doesn't jump exactly where it should, I guess, is one way to put it. So unfortunately, yeah, sometimes that occurs, sometimes it doesn't. That is, well, just VIP for you, or, you know, WIP, I guess. Right. So they've, yeah, the German AI moved up some Osttruppen. This is one of the infantry forms that the Germans get. There's right around 130 some unit types inside the game. I'm not really sure how these differ from the regular troops, though I'd imagine that they're either higher in or lower in quality. So there's that. These guys on the AI turn moved close to our unit, and whenever true infantrymen move, or actually all troops, whenever they move into, or I think all troops, at least with infantry, when infantry moves into a 1 hex radius around some other troop, defending guy gets a free attack on them, and our Molotov cocktail throwers have evidently given these Osttruppen quite a scare, seeing as how their morale is now 39. So, with that said and all, what we're going to do here is that I'm going to get my my Soviet scouts here to move forwards here, and we're going to commence an assault on these Osttruppen, and we'll see whether or not we can perhaps break through into them. So, our guys will commence an assault. That is, it's probably going to kill all the people there, and that is going to grant us control of that tile. When your infantrymen have more than 50 morale, they have the tendency to, of course, shoot back. And with that said, one of the tactics inside the game is to break the morale on those troops and then to use some troop to assault them. So, for example, over here, these guys were retreating because they have a morale of -11. Though I'm not really sure what is in that courtyard, or that clearing near the church. So I'm not too inclined to assaulting these guys. But I think we'll get our guys to enact some heavy fire, dropping some grenades, and shooting some of their rifles, and that will destroy that group of German defenders. Right, so first truck is down, and we've also secured quite the large swath of territory here, so not bad. Moving forwards, I'm going to get our guys to move onto the road here, these Soviet Molotov cocktail throwers, and in addition I'll put the other two groups of these guys into the forests here, at least for now. So we'll set up like that. Moving forwards, I guess what we'll do here is that we'll try to, let's see, we could try to probe this area just in front of the road here, but that might be a bit risky. So instead, what I think I'll do is that I'll avoid that for now. I'll get our sniper here to move forwards, and he'll push back the bit of fog of war here. We can see that we have good confidence in there being no enemies inside that light building for now. So that's nice to know. And over here, I'm going to get my guys to move cautiously forwards because, that half-track has a decent chance at spotting our guys. Likewise, over here, get our guys to shimmy forwards. I'm going to get them to turn, check whether or not they see anything new. And, ooh, there's a supply truck over here. Oh, these guys have located a whole bunch of enemy units as well. So there's that. I'm going to get these guys to hold fire, so that next turn, when those units move or do things, our guys don't open up fire and expose themselves and all that and get themselves killed. In the meantime, let's get our troops over here to blow up these supply trucks. The reason why those big signs like that ambush / spotted sign comes up on our troops when our squads fire is that you have a chance in moving so stealthily through these forested areas and buildings too, in that the enemies won't be able to see where the fire is coming from. When your troops are, of course, spotted, they lose that hidden status there. So that's one thing to keep track of. Over here, what I want to do is that I want to put the AT rifles so that they're a tad far away from the action. I want to put those saboteurs and partisan groups into the tiles that are just on the edge of that road, so that we can firebomb the trucks going down, and we can also try to snipe at them using the guys with those AT rifles. So that is that. Let's see what else. Could move forwards one tile, I guess. Or no, I think I'll keep our two groups of guys just over here, like such. Get these guys to shimmy forwards, that area over there, and I guess we'll move forwards one tile over here. So that'll be this turn. Oh, and would you look at that? There's some Osttruppen hiding over there, and the brawl continues. So our guys will trade fire off of along with what enemy units that expose themselves. And ooh, our guys have spotted some enemy infantry inside this half-track, so that is also quite intriguing. Right, so moving forwards, let's get some suppression onto this infantry unit. And you'll notice that the morale of this Osttruppen group starts to drop as this occurs. And what I want to do here is that I want to do a bit of a swap with these two partisan units. And I want these guys to just continue laying down fire onto that Osttruppen group, because eventually I want that troop's health to, or morale to go down to 0, or at least below 50, and then at that point we can score some ambushing or sorry, not ambushing moves, but one tile attacks on them, which are particularly deadly. So that's going on over there, and we'll just let that continue. Over here, we'll get our guys to put some shots into this group of German infantry, see how low we can get them down to. So not bad. And over here, our guys, this group of guys should be still covered, so we'll let them do that. We'll get them to pop off a few shots. Get our guys to try to move this squad forwards, seeing as how this group is now suppressed. Bring them up forwards, do a 1 hex assault, and we'll take them out like that. Right, so in the meantime, this group of Soviet partisans, this squad has been exposed, and it's ran out of AP, so we can't do too much with it now. But on the other hand, with this squad, this one hasn't been this one still is fresh and can be moved, so we'll get it to run back into the forest. So we'll do that there, and in the meantime, over here, I'll move up the LMG squad to the edge of the road here, still having them in cover. And we'll see whether or not they can take down some of these trucks here. There we go, so one's gone. They'll take out the other one on the next turn. And over here, let's see. Let's put the other AT rifle inside that building over there. Get this Molotov cocktail group to turn and hide inside those rocks over there. And over here, these guys will hide and cover this road. I'll get two squads to cover this road here. So that'll be this turn at a glance. Well, no. I guess what we could do here is that we have this scouting unit, and to my knowledge, it having quick reactions makes it a bit better at reacting to, say, some of these 1 hex scenarios. So with that said, I'll get it to hunt forwards, a cautious move, which will hopefully reduce casualties here, because we wanted to probe these Osttruppen groups, or this Osttruppen group. Once it gets close in range, it can fire off, hopefully suppress that group. And with that said, we can move up our Soviet rifle squad. Assault, 84% chance in succeeding. That'll take that tile, and then we can get these guys to just hold their position for now. I see that the Germans over here have a standard Kampfwagen 2318 grad. I think that one was it was an armored car. It had a 20mm gun on it, which was pretty devastating against the infantry. So currently, what I want to do is that I wanted to hopefully pull back some of my units to somewhere where next turn it wouldn't be spotted in. So we'll get our guys to make some movement like that. Unfortunately, the half-track sees them now, and I guess we'll just leave off on that note. Right, so they'll put down some suppressing fire. They're going to deploy their troops now that they think that something is wrong here. They're going to try to push forwards that convoy. Well, unfortunately for them, that is not going to go all too well. And the game continues. Ooh, Osttruppen here are making a bit of an assault. They suppressed our partisans, unfortunately. And there we go. So that should be the enemy's turn. Yeah, so morale obviously works both ways. Our Soviet partisans here being more or less just country folk, more volunteering, not necessarily conscripted to fight against the German invaders here. They're not necessarily highly disciplined troops. So unfortunately, these Soviet partisans here have broken. In the meantime, I'll see what I can do about getting rid of some of these Osttruppen which are moving forwards onto our guys, and we'll put off a few shots like that. And over here, what I think I'll do is that I'll get the Soviet scout troops and all. I'll get them to shimmy back. So we'll do that. We'll get these partisans to take out these two supply trucks, or rather, hopefully, and I'll pull back these partisans here. Oh no! And what have they ran into over here? They ran into a German MG-34 truck. So in that case, I think we'll have to try to save our guys here. I'll get this partisan squad to come over here and put down some fire onto these guys. See whether or not they can do some damage, and unfortunately they cannot. So that is a bit of a pickle. I guess I'll move up the Molotov cocktail group. I think we have a solid chance of taking these guys down, so I'm really committed to trying to push our guys forward here. And unfortunately our partisans here have been suppressed once again. Well, there's a few things that we can do to change the circumstances here. What I can do is that I can use some of these special abilities that we have. We can rally our troops using this rally ability, which will give our which will bring up our guy up to speed and up to that that required morale amount. Fire once again, and I'll get him to drop off a few fire bombs at the MG truck over here. Hopefully what this will do is that, yeah, it'll take out the target, and I guess we'll just have to hope that that half track, where, you know, that armored vehicle doesn't take out the Molotov cocktail group in time next turn. So that's one side of the battle there. In the meantime, let's see what else we can do here. Now, over here, I think we took some more fire. We had taken some fire from the other buildings inside the town. I'm going to get my guys to probe forwards one tile, see whether or not they can see anything. And indeed they can. They saw some German infantry over here. Managed to get a nice ambush attack there. So we took out one German infantry, bring their morale down from 100 all the way to 69. Let's see whether or not we can get another good hit off and take their morale down even further, though unfortunately not from the looks of it. In that case, we'll move some of these guys, which have rallied back up, and we'll continue the fight, I guess. Right, and over here I'll get our guys to move about, get them into a position where they can shoot at the enemies over here. And that'll put some damage onto their guys, but it won't be too bad. And inside this area, I think we have the backwards ambush already set up. So this will be a nice place to take a bit of a break. Once we return, I guess we'll go to the end of the scenario. So if you've enjoyed this part so far, be sure to like and subscribe for more.